Today we're marking Imbolc, a seasonal threshold that arrives quietly. There's no big reveal here, no dramatic transformation, just the slow return of the light and the sense that something is beginning to stir beneath the surface.
Imbolc isn't about becoming a new you, which we've gone over in this podcast before. It's about tending what already exists. It's about noticing that something wants to grow, even if you can't see it yet.
And historically speaking, Imbolc was never about abundance or celebration. It arrived during one of the hardest parts of the year when the winter wasn't over, food stores were low, and the survival still required that patience and restraint.
Yeah, so today we're not here to like romanticize or reinvent or anything like that. We're just here to talk about what Imbolc actually was, what we know from history and folklore, and how its themes still resonate now in ways that are honest, grounded, and gentle.
Welcome to our Solstice Series. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Caitlin.
So, what is Imbolc anyway? This holiday or solstice, if you will, that we're celebrating. So, Imbolc is a Gaelic seasonal festival historically observed in Ireland and parts of Scotland. It falls around February 1st or 2nd, about halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox.
Some of the earliest references to Imbolc appear in medieval Irish texts and I can't talk today.
You're doing great.
Including early mythological cycles and glossaries. While interpretations do vary, scholars agree that Imbolc marked a crucial turning point in the agricultural year.
Yes, this was the time when ewes began to lactate, an early sign that life was returning. The word Imbolc is often linked to Old Irish imbog, meaning in the belly, possibly referring to pregnancy and livestock.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's important to say here that linguistic connection is debated among scholars. What matters more is the seasonal reality. This was a time of watching closely, of reading the land and the animals and the light.
Imbolc didn't promise spring. It promised possibility. And possibility is still required.
Yeah. Imbolc is often associated with Brigid, sometimes spelled differently depending on what text you're looking at and stuff. But for intents and purposes here, we'll say Brigid, who appears in early Irish sources as a powerful cultural figure.
So historically, Brigid is connected with poetry, healing, smithcraft, 3 forms of skilled labor essential to communal survival.
Yeah, later she becomes Saint Brigid of Kildare, a Christian figure whose feast actually falls on February 1st, as we've talked about before. A lot of times Christian practices, they would take something from like pagan practice or whatever and kind of bring it into their own. So they made her saint, kept the same day, gave her a feast. Scholars widely agree that this reflects a synchronization process where like pre-Christian traditions blended into Christian ones.
And what we can say with confidence is Brigid became associated with fire, light, domestic protection, and creative skill. What we can't say is that the ancient people practiced Imbolc exactly as modern pagan traditions do today, which I think goes without saying. I don't think a lot of traditions follow exactly what the ancients used to do.
No, it's really hard to know, especially with the changing of religions and different people taking over, and you never get super accurate, histories. But that distinction does matter, and it allows us to kind of respect the history and to really honor tradition without being too, I don't know what the right word would be, honoring it without being like, I know best. This is exactly how it used to be or anything like that. There's no certainty. We just want to like do our best to honor it and learn about it to the best of our abilities.
Absolutely. One of the most consistent elements across historical and folkloric sources is that Imbolc was home-centered.
Yeah, this wasn't a festival of public spectacle like some of our other holidays have been. It was about tending to the hearth, cleaning the home, preparing candles, caring for thresholds like doors, windows, places where like warmth and safety mattered.
Right, because these practices weren't symbolic in the modern sense. They were practical. Domestic labor was survival work.
Yeah, community care too wasn't ideological, it was necessary, right? Shared knowledge, shared effort, shared restraint kept people alive through the winter.
You know, this is actually a really good episode right before we're starting our communal season and talking
Mhm.
about like those practical skill sharing,
Yeah.
informational, communal podcast series that we're going into right now. I'm very excited that we're starting
Yeah.
at this time of the year.
It's like we're always like we've said this so many times in so many different episodes, but somehow we're always kind of in sync with like the tarot and the seasons and I think it's a good sign.
Yes, same. I'm going to take it for what it is. So, speaking of, though, the folklore scholars often describe Imbolc as a liminal time, a moment in between states.
Yeah, right. We're not really in winter anymore, but we're not quite in spring yet. We're kind of in the in between.
And this was a time for watching for signs of waiting without stagnation, of preparation without rushing into the next thing.
Yeah, which also kind of goes with what we were saying with our New Year's episode, right? This isn't the season to rush around and change everything and try to be a new person and all these things. This is the time to really like prep and just like take care of yourself and your community. And that's something that we've kind of largely lost in modern culture, the ability to just honor beginnings that don't come with results yet, right? Everybody wants instant gratification.
That's
And
so
that's not what
true.
this season is for.
And let's be clear, we talked about the history. Um, Now we're gonna get into the next part of it, what it offers us today.
Yeah, how we might listen to it now and practice it in today, like modern times.
Imbolc offers a reminder that growth doesn't need urgency. And like you were saying earlier, I think that's a really important point.
Mm,
That tending to something quietly kind of still counts. It doesn't have to be
yeah.
this big, giant celebration. It can also, I don't know, doesn't have to be rushed.
Yeah, yeah. Especially for people that are navigating like burnout or like marginalization right now. A
Mhm.
lot of different things that are happening, chronic illness, general exhaustion, like the end of the year, the holidays bring exhaustion, and it's just natural for the winter to bring that feeling as well. Imbolc isn't asking you to bloom, right? We're not in spring yet. It's not time for that. It's asking you to stay.
Right. So keep a small flame lit and trust that rest is not failure, it's preparation for the next.
Yeah, absolutely. If you do want to mark Imbolc today, we have some simple things that you can do.
So light a candle or imagine one
You can name one thing that you're tending gently.
and name one thing that you're not rushing anymore.
Yeah, it really, Imbolc is really reminding us that nothing meaningful arrives full formed. You really have to, like we've been saying, you have to tend to it, you have to let it grow, you have to give it that time.
Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is keep the light on.
Yeah. Yay!
Yay! Keep showing up even when it's messy. We'll see you next time in the closet.